Hello, 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 and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, madman, and brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food, plant based lifestyle. Let me say that one more time for the cheap seats in the back. And because it's Tuesday, happy Tuesday. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, and madman, brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food plant based lifestyle. Welcome, come on in, get a seat. And folks, I have to say, as they say, as we all say, this is the end of an era. I will be here next week. However, this is the end of my three-part series on clarity. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I think clarity rules. I think it is a secret sauce, as they say, when you want to change your life and move forward, particularly if you want to transform your life. It is imperative, it is essential that you have clarity, that you're clear about what you're doing and what you're not doing. This is week three of my clarity series. I did 2 weeks ago I started, so I've had one 2 weeks ago. Number two was last week, and number three is this week. I'm going to do a little bit of reviewing just in case this is some of my folks' first time joining me. So last week's title was Clarity Ain't Soft. Yeah, clarity ain't soft. The bold path to becoming mad free. Clarity ain't soft. The bold path to becoming mad free. And I talked on and on and on about what I did to get off the meds, how I had to go against a whole lot of things that were coming at me. Quick quiz. Do you remember what I said were the things that were coming at me that come at all of us all the time, constantly, nonstop? A barrage begins with the letter N as in Nancy. Noise. I talked about noise, right? And how to cut through the noise, and how you absolutely have to cut through the noise in order to get to the clarity and figure out what it is you need to do, how you need to do it, and basically to get started. So, part three in the series this week is titled The Power of Deciding. Yes, decision making, the power of deciding. Clarity that cuts through the noise. The power of deciding, clarity that cuts through the noise. Now, as I said last week, I talked about noise, and I talked about the boldness that it took for me to get off the medication. And I gave you guys a visual. I showed you my numbers. I showed you my actual blood pressure numbers that were taken in February of this year, which is about at this point, 4 months ago. And how I had moved from 145 over 95 down to 109 over 73. I believe that's what it was. I was shooting for 106 over 76. That's what it used to be. But when I showed you last week was 109 over 73. Just to let you know, I am following my own program. I'm not just on here flapping my gums every week talking about what could work or what might work. I'm not just sharing theories. I've actually put these things into practice. So let's jump right in. All right. The first thing you need, or I should say, the first thing you don't need is a plan, right? People always want to run around, and they feel they can't move. They can't, you know, go after they want in life because they don't have a plan, right? They need a plan. They need a plan, right? They need a plan. They need a reason to move forward. They need, so let me give you an example. I remember a time when I used to go to the gym constantly, and I used to be one of those people, and this is ridiculous, I have to admit it. I used to be one of those people who wanted to lose weight before he would go to the gym, right? And I've heard other people say this. I want to drop 10 or 15 pounds, then I'll be ready to go to the gym. That's like the folks, and this is something else I don't understand. That's like the people that I know, who I've known in my life, who've had a housekeeper or somebody to come and clean the house. They clean the house before the housekeeper gets there. Yeah, they clean the house before the housekeeper gets there. That is their plan. They're getting ready. They want to make sure everything is up to par. Make sure everything is okay before something they can actually move on something. A lot of times we are wasting our time thinking we need a plan, or we need more study time, or we need just more time, right? I heard many years ago something very wise somebody told me that later, the only difference between now and later is that it's later. It's not going to get any easier. It's not going to get better. You're not going to be clear about it by sitting around thinking about it for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That's not how it works. There is something to be said for taking action, which is where the clarity comes from. So, momentum, this is when you figure out what you're going to do, right? As you are moving, as you are making, you know, like a heat seeking missile, figuring out where to go, which way to go. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't work. You get clarity by taking action, having some movement. Now, what you really need is a decision to act. Yes, a decision to act. Now, there's a big myth that says at some point, you know, if you keep getting ready and keep getting ready and keep getting ready, you'll be able to launch. It never, ever, ever works that way. Sorry, folks, it does not work that way. You got to jump in and make it happen. You got to make some decisions. You got to take some action. You got to take some lumps. You've got to make a decision. Here's what I made this morning. As you know, I do meditation. I do meditation in the morning, and I usually try to do, or I typically do, 30 minutes or so of chanting because I'm a Buddhist, so I do chant every morning. And all of a sudden, it hit me this morning. I was writing and doing my journaling, and I realized that I was holding back. There were some places in my life that I was playing small, right? And I was playing small in an effort to safeguard myself, right? To be safe, to be okay, to make sure that I didn't get hurt. And I had this epiphany that I want to share with you guys. And the epiphany was you have taken action before. You have made mistakes before. You've been mocked before. You've been ridiculed. You've been scorned. You've been, for lack of a better term, let's get real deep with it. You have been excommunicated from different groups and different cliques and whatever. That has happened before. And I immediately asked myself, when all those things happened, did you die? Did I lose a limb? Did I lose a loved one? And the answer to all three of those questions was an emphatic no. So right then and there, I realized I'm playing small to prevent something that has never happened, right? And all the ridicule, all the mockery, all the excommunication, all the being put out, in the cold to be eaten by bears, so to speak, and saber-toothed lions, saber-toothed tigers, all of that, I'm still here. So I've survived it. So what am I afraid of? Why am I not playing larger? Clarity, folks. I'm telling you, clarity rules. That came to me clear as a bell this morning. I was like, oh, this is what needs to happen. This is what I've been holding back on. This is what I need to move into. Clarity, clarity, clarity. Now, let's talk about three, not one, not two, but three things you can do to get that momentum going in your life. First thing, I'm going to challenge you, have a salt free week. Yeah, I said it. And initially, I was thinking, why don't we ease into it by saying 3 salt-free meals for the week? But hey, let's get bold. Let's go for it. Let's throw off the shackles. Let's, rip open the eyes and have a look at what we really want to do. If we're trying to save our lives, if we're trying to turn things around, when I had the exorbitant uh, blood pressure, cutting back and having salt, only 3 days a week or 4 days a week, that wasn't going to cut it. I needed something radical. I needed something that was bold. And the bold step was no salt, right? That was one of the things that I did. Now, I did it for 12 weeks. So, what I'm asking you to do is to try it for a week. Try a salt free week, right? And I don't mean that stuff that, don't try to slip in any of that stuff that's mixed with other stuff. Salt free. Try it, folks. My black men 40 to 60 who are struggling with hypertension. It's time out for playing games. It's time out for moderation. Oh, I said the M word. I'm going to do a whole series on that, or maybe just a very long rant about moderation and how when I got healthy, and if you want to get healthy, Moderation does not cut it. It does not work. Okay, I threw myself off there for a minute, but I want to make sure we get that point. Moderation doesn't work, especially if you're trying to save your life. Okay, so here's the other two things. So I mentioned a salt-free week, right? Not a salt-free meal, not a couple of days with no salt, not 6 days on and 1 day off, not 3 days on and 4 days off. None of that nonsense. Challenge yourself, trust yourself, push yourself. 1 week of salt-free living. Here's something else we can do, and this is one of my personal favorites. How about a brisk 10-minute walk? I'm telling if you want some clarity, there's nothing like a quick walk to get super clear on not only what's going on with you, but to get super clear on why you're doing what you're doing, to get super clear on the behavior you're exhibiting. What I got this morning, and I didn't even go for my walk this morning, that was simply meditation and some chanting. I got super clear. That clarity hit me, punched me right in the face, right? I felt like I was in the ring. I got super clear on, whoops, this is what I've been doing. Whoops, this is why I've been doing. Whoops, the jig's up. Time's up. We got to move on. This isn't working anymore. You're not 7 years old anymore. You're 57. We've been running with this, holding it for 50 years. Time to do something else. So, yes, you can do the same thing when you're walking. A walk, there's something about walking and being out in the fresh air and the sunshine and just not necessarily contemplating the problems of the world, but just taking some oxygen in, right? Just thinking. Sometimes they call it a walking meditation. In some practices, they call it a walking meditation. You can call it whatever you like. I know that it works. And whenever I'm trying to figure out something, whenever I'm confused, baffled, anxiety ridden, not knowing what to do, a walk always clears it up. All right. And here's the last thing. Here's another challenge. How about a week of journaling and or taking your blood pressure for a week? Every day for a week, take it to see what's going on, right? To see, is it going up? Is it going down? Is it staying the same? I'm telling you, it may change after a week of no salt and 10 minutes of walking a day. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about my story and how things have gone for me and the things that I have figured out when I wanted to be clarity driven. So, my journey started with this whole process 5 years ago, but really hardcore 3 years ago when I took a chance and gave up the salt, the oil, and the sugar. Now, the first week, I thought it was going to be so difficult, right? I was so panicked because I thought, well, the food's not going to taste like anything. And I've already given up, meat and dairy. What else do you want from me? So I was a little trepidatious going into week one with the no salt, right? But I did survive it. I survived it and I thrived. And I figured out other things I can use. I figured out how much I liked curry. I figured out how much I like cumin. I figured out how much I liked za'atar, which is, I believe, a Middle Eastern or a Mediterranean spice. Excellent, right? There's all kinds of things you can add that are just as powerful, that are just as tasty, that are just as flavor enhancing as salt, right? I didn't know that going into it for a week. So the first week was a little rough. I also gave up the sugar and the grease, the sugar and the oil, right? Hmm, that one was a little tougher. That one was a little tougher because I used to love my red velvet. As many of you have heard me say, I used to refer to red velvet as crack velvet because I swore they put something in that frosting and in that batter that made it addictive. But I digress. So that first week was a little rough. Did I mention that I also was drinking a lot more water and moving a lot more? After that first week, my neck got smaller, my mind got clearer. I was able to move things to a little faster. A lot of the brain fog started going away. I realized some of the foods I was eating were being consumed by me simply because they had salt, oil, and sugar in them. right? I was drinking coffee to get to the half and half. Didn't know that, right? I was eating cake, not to get to the eggs, but to get to the sugar and the butter, right? So the first week was a little rough, but I made it happen and I made it work. Here is another one, another doozy for you. I have mentioned more than once about moving to New York, right? 30 years ago. Oh my God. Yeah, it has been 30 years. I moved to New York City. I was 27, right? It was 1995. Picture it. It was the fall of 1995, September 12th, 1995. I was fresh off the plane. I had just spent the summer in Japan. That's a whole other talk. I had just spent the summer in Japan. I moved to New York. And the difference was, like I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, I stopped talking about it. I stopped planning on it. I stopped looking for a strategy. I stopped asking for permission. I stopped asking people what they think I should do. I made a decision. I packed and I moved. Now, let me be clear. Like many of you, I waited. I have been wanting to live in New York City for a decade since the first time I visited. The first time I visited New York City was in 1985. I was 18. I was 18, yeah. 1985. My stepmom, my sister, and I all went to New York City. I've been wanting to go to New York City for a long time. Went, immediately fell in love, and felt like I've been living there my whole life. Like maybe in another life I may have lived there, or however that goes, right? So I had been nursing that concept, nursing that probability for a decade. Folks, don't do what I did. Don't put your dreams off for 10 years. We don't know how long anybody has left, right? Don't wait 10 years to go for it. I wanted to go to New York City since wanted to move there since 1985. It took me 10 years, but when I got ready to go, I stopped thinking about it. I stopped talking about it. I stopped asking people about it. I stopped conducting surveys to figure out when would be a good time to go. I started asking people how they did it. I simply went to Japan, moved to New York City, $300, one bag, one pair of shoes, and made it work and figured it out, right? I was clear. I'm going to New York City to be a performing artist, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's exactly what I did for 13 years solid. So it can be done. Now, I'm going to wrap up here. I think I have fussed and carried on long enough, but I want to make sure that all of you guys have access to everything we have covered these last 3 weeks. We've reviewed, we've had some laughs, you've learned more about me, you've seen my actual numbers, so you know that I'm a real person with real numbers. I have shared my New York City story of wanting to be there at 18, moving at 27. We've done all of that. Now, as my gift to you, in I finally got it right. In the box above me, in the comments section, I have a book. I have a workbook for you. It's a PDF. You can download it. It is a free gift from me to you for the folks who are watching. You will not be able to share it. You'll only be able to download it for your own personal enjoyment, for your own personal enrichment. Now, here's a caveat. It is free. You can download it. I will be taking it down as of Friday. Today is Tuesday, June 10th. So you have until Friday, which, oh my God, Friday the 13th. You have until Friday to download it. After Friday, it's going away. Let me say that again. The book that I am giving you, the workbook, with everything that we have covered these last 3 weeks, I've distilled it down to a very short, succinct, powerful workbook with very short exercises that you can do, and you can do them with your family. Clarity is the key, is the name of the book. This book goes away Friday the 13th. It is live today. Please download it. You can share with your pals if you need to. Please do the work that's in the book. I will check back with you to see what, check the DMs, check my comments to see who's read it, who's actually followed up, and I am going to wrap up as of now. Don't forget, pick up Clarity is the Key. Clarity is the Key. Free download for you today, right now. Get it. It's going away Friday the 13th. I know, spooky, scary, right? Life changing, if you will. So, my name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, madman, and brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food plant based lifestyle. Let me say that one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, madman, and brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food, plant based lifestyle. Now, go on, get out of here. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Let your loved ones take care of you. Get some plants on that plate. And most importantly, eat like you got some sense. I will talk to you soon. Bye now.